Hey there, it's Will Vaughan from Your Career Mastery, and today we're going to be talking about how to deal with a restructure at work. So it is one of the unfortunate realities of working in a corporate career that from time to time, due to economic situations or just financial situations within a company that you're working in, that companies will restructure. That is, they may choose to shuffle people into different teams based on a new team structure within a certain department or throughout the entire business, or they might look to also reduce headcount in order to reduce costs to their payroll. And it can be an incredibly uncertain time where you're not sure if your job is safe, if your team's job is safe, and people that you like and that you work with, that they're still going to be working with you. You might be changing teams. There might be a lot of uncertainty that comes with that change as well. It's just an incredibly uncertain time for you and for all of your peers. And I've personally gone through restructures in the previous company that I worked in, both when I started in that role. So the last company I worked at, I was there for 4 years. Not long after my time starting a role there was a company restructure with some redundancies. And also during COVID, I saw a lot of restructuring and redundancies happen as well, unfortunately. Luckily, I'm very grateful I made it through all the 4 years of that company. But in the company that I work in now, they're currently going through a restructure as well, which is what made it fresh and is what made me, or what prompted me to want to make this video and share it with you. So essentially in this video, I'm going to share my 4 tips for managing and dealing with a redundancy if that happens to you in your current role. So my first tip is to talk to your line manager or your direct manager and try and get as much information as possible. So when the restructuring is announced, it's super easy just to start spiraling emotionally out of control and let the gossip just absolutely take over. And you start going into panic mode and disaster mode and really just expecting the worst outcome possible, which might not actually be the case. So one of the things that you definitely want to do is, as soon as you can, set up some time with your line manager and start asking them just as many questions as possible. Now, they might not have all of the information either, but it's super important that if you have questions, collate them all together, put in half an hour with your manager and just get as much information as they're willing to divulge at that particular point. Because you might actually get some information that puts you at ease in terms of your particular role, or getting some understanding about the role you might be moving into, or just broader business changes that might directly impact you. But the sooner you can stop emotionally spiraling and start getting some actual facts about what the restructuring might mean for you and for your team, the better off you'll be. Now, my second tip is, while you're talking to your line manager and just asking questions about the restructuring in general, try to ask as many questions as you can and find out as much information as you can about what the timelines of the restructuring are actually going to consist of. So when a company announces that they're restructuring, there'll be a process that follows that. So essentially, they'll make the announcement over a period of weeks or months. They're going to announce what the exact timelines or milestones of the restructuring actually are. So there'll be the announcement. There might be a review of particular roles in particular teams. And then at some point in the future, there'll be a hard date of when the new teams and the new structure will actually go live from. So again, the sooner you can get information about what the process of the restructuring is going to look like and what the timelines are, the sooner you can start setting expectations about understanding what the process is. And that will again help to put you somewhat at ease, because you'll have a better understanding of what the restructuring process is going to look like, and will help to alleviate some of that uncertainty. Tip number 3 is one of the most important ones, and probably one of the most overlooked tips when it comes to dealing with this kind of situation. And that is to support your colleagues, but also ask for support if you need it as well. So like we talked about before, restructuring is an incredibly uncertain period for many people, not understanding if they're going to still have a job in the coming weeks or months, but also just dealing with the change that comes from moving teams or having the team that you're in shuffle around in terms of the people and the responsibilities. So it's really important that you don't be one of the people who contributes to all the negativity and all the crazy gossip about the situation, but you actually try to stay calm, support the people around you, be positive, really try to be there for them emotionally, which isn't always trying to give people advice. Sometimes it's just checking in with people, asking them questions about how they're going, how they're feeling, what's on their mind. And just as simple as asking someone a question like that can go a long way, and just showing someone that you support them and that you're there for them. And likewise, if you're in that situation where you're just feeling a lot of uncertainty and a lot of sadness or a lot of frustration about the process of the restructuring, reach out to your colleagues. Find someone you know, you like, you trust, and get their support. Have a laugh with them, so really talk through the situation, ask them how they're feeling, but don't be afraid to put your hand up or talk to your line manager and say, I need some support in this situation because I'm really just finding it very overwhelming. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And if you work for a great company, which I really hope that you do, they should be there to support you emotionally and also just in your role during this really uncertain period. And tip number 4, which is kind of just common sense and really speaks to sort of the mission of my channel, which is to prepare yourself. So obviously when companies announce restructuring, in many cases, that will involve some redundancies, which isn't to say that you should immediately jump to the conclusion that you're going to be made redundant, but it also just goes to show that you should make sure your resume is up to date with all your skills and all your key achievements to make sure that if that redundancy, God forbid, does happen, that you're prepared, you've got a plan, you've got your LinkedIn profile all set up and ready to go if you need to start getting back out into the job market and applying for jobs, sending your resume out and start getting some job interviews. And if you are in that situation, which I hope you aren't, but if you are, there's a ton of content on my channel which can help you with your resume and also preparing and succeeding in job interviews as well. So I'm Will Vaughan from Your Career Mastery. Hope you found this video helpful. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you've got any questions at all, please leave them in the comments below and I will see you in the next video. Cheers.